Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar all around what's new in Business Central for the October 2021 Wave 2. My name is Danusha Jolliffe, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at TVision. And I'm joined today by Ian, who you all know, who does a lot of our webinars. I've been here as a Marketing Manager nearly 5 years now. Oh, I'll just put my camera on. So yeah, I've been here nearly 5 years now, and I'll be facilitating today. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. If you have any questions or comments, please do mention them, and I'll stop Ian as we're going along, just to ask those questions for you. So Ian's been here just under 5 years now, is that right?
Just over.
Just over, so similar time to me, and he'll be giving you the demo today, all around what's going on in terms of the new functionality. So in terms of our agenda, what we're going to be talking about today is the update that came through, or that is coming through now in October. So it comes in sort of 4 areas really, and we had an internal meeting here at TVision, and everyone in the business joined so that we could also learn what was coming through for you, for the clients. So first of all, application changes. So we're going to talk about some of the updates that have been the most requested areas for improvement, such as finance and supply chain. Then in the area of modern clients, it's around the improvements for the portfolio with a focus on usability, accessibility, performance and stability. Then thirdly, a bit around better with Microsoft 365. So there's better integration with Excel and also further improvements around the support for collaborative processes in Teams. So you can bring, for example, Business Central pages into a Teams channel. And then lastly, a little bit around the Power Platform. So that's about improving the integration with the Microsoft Dataverse and the Microsoft Power Platform. Now, there's an awful lot of sort of small changes, I guess, that have come in. Last time there were some really, really big, meaty ones. This time there are so many that whilst this webinar has been scheduled for half an hour, I reckon Ian will probably tell us a little bit more and spend at least a couple of hours talking about it. So what we've done is we've gone through those changes and worked out the ones that we think would be most valuable for you, our clients. So next up, I'm passing across to Ian, who will talk about some of this selected functionality. If there's anything that comes up and you'd like to ask some questions, as I said, just pop it in the chat and I'll ask as we're going along. Over to Ian.
Thanks, Danusha. Hi, guys. So I have the latest version, Wave 2 2021, with the changes that are going to be going live over the course of October, November and December. All of these changes, if you want to read about them and find out some more, Danusha is going to send you the link. It's also included in the presentation. But it basically gets you to Microsoft's website. You can have a look at an overview of the changes. And as you can see, there is an awful long list of things that have been changed. So I'm going to try and keep it as narrow and as focused as possible. I'm going to focus on these application changes because they're the ones that you can see. But there are some changes in the background, the better with Microsoft 365, and in there, there's enhancements to integration with Teams. There is enhancements with the integration with Excel and with Outlook, and you can read up about those changes. There are also anybody who is using the Power Platform, so that's Microsoft Flow, Microsoft Power Automate, Power Apps, Power BI. Again, some enhancements have been made there in the integration and the functionality between Business Central and those applications. As I said, I'm going to focus on the application changes. But before I start talking about them, let me tell you about what happens in the background here. So we have a look at your admin of your system. And you can see from my system here, I've got some production databases and I've got some sandbox databases. And one of these sandboxes, I've loaded this latest version. So I can test it before I implement it in my production database. Now, all of you should be receiving a message from Nicola, the support manager, telling you that we put it in your sandbox for you to go and have a look so you can test this new functionality yourself. And it is important that you do test that functionality. We also can schedule when these updates go into your production database. And we can pick any date basically from the 28th of October till the 13th of December. We don't want everybody to go live on the same day, because then if there are problems, obviously that's a lot of problems to fix at once. So we're going to try and stagger you, and we're going to try and put some kind of schedule in. But if you have a particular date that you prefer, by all means, let us know and we'll schedule you for that date. And if you would like to come in here and manage this yourself, drop Nicola a line and she will show you how you can get to this screen and how you can see what version you're on and when you're going to be updated. So as I say, I have the changes on this one. And the first thing I want to speak about is the tours and the teaching tips. So when you log in, and you want to change company or change your role, this screen still works the same as it has before. You have the option to turn on or turn off teaching tips. And I would recommend, if you've got a new team member who's new to Business Central or somebody who wants to learn more, turn this option on for them. And then when they come in and they go to a screen that they haven't been to before, for instance, items, because I have those teaching tips turned on, it pops up this little, a brief description. Would I like to learn more and take a tour? And if I click take a tour, it's going to take me around the screen and show me where I can turn on the information boxes, how I can filter my views over here, and give me a basic idea of what's going on. And the learn more will obviously go into a little bit more detail. And I'll get them until I've taken the tour and it says, oh, you've done that. If they annoy you, you can turn them off. For me, I don't like them, but as I say, if you've got a new team member, turn those on. And Microsoft have put a lot of effort into updating those and enhancing those so that they're a lot more useful than they used to be in the past. Well worth having a look. Just as a side note, if you're interested in learning more, go and have a look at Microsoft Learn. There are literally hundreds of free courses on there around Microsoft products, including Business Central. There are about 50 videos you can watch on various things in Business Central to learn how to set up items, vendors, bank accounts, etc. It's a learning resource that we use internally, and it's free. Go and have a look at that.
Ian, also under Microsoft Learn, it's not just the technical side of things, there's also sales, there's all different areas that you can learn about within Business Central, absolutely everything, and you will find something that's relevant to perhaps you or somebody else in your business as well.
Yeah, fantastic, thanks Nadusha. Right, next thing I want to speak about is anybody who's using account schedules. And account schedules, if you do use them, it's where you produce your financial reports. And there is a fantastic update that's happened on account schedules. Let me show you. So you can create your own here. I've created one called a profit and loss, which was just basically a copy of the income statement. I haven't changed anything here. Let's just go and have a look at this in the overview. And it's still sitting at the default. I'm seeing the net change, nothing very exciting here. But what I have done is I've created a new column layout called multiple budgets. And this is fantastic. I can now view two different budgets against my actuals. So in my case, a budget and a revised budget. And you can imagine the beginning of last year, you might have had a budget, then lockdown happened and you very quickly had to create a new budget. It would have been nice to have the two of them there to compare against. And it's really simple to set up. Let me show you how simple it is. Basically, I've got the three columns. The first one is budget, the second one is revised budget. And I just basically tell it over here, which budget do I want to use in each column? It's as simple as that. You can have as many budgets as you want. So you could have your pessimistic budget, your optimistic budget, and the budget you actually gave to the board of directors, and you can compare against all three to see how you're doing in reality. That one's really nice. There are some changes that have been made on bank reconciliations. Now, in the last wave update, they made some big changes to the bank recon that they let you undo a posted bank reconciliation, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. This time the changes are a little more subtle. There are a few of them, two that I'm going to speak about. On this side, you get your bank statement, or what the bank says is going on in your accounts. On this side, you get Business Central, what it says is going in your accounts, and you match them off one against one. What might happen in reality, and we have some clients who actually do this, someone buys something from you, £500, and they pay you with two different credit cards, £250 each. But you just record that as one payment of £500 in Business Central. Your bank shows it as two separate entries because they received two separate payments. The system will now let you match up two entries on one side to one entry on the other side. In the past, it was always 1-to-1. This 2-to-1 is now fantastic. It makes your reconciliation a lot easier. And what they've also done is when you've finished matching everything off, and you're always left with bank charges, interest charges, overdraft fees, whatever it might be that the bank's going to charge you, and you go and process your journal to put them into your system. When you post that journal, this BC will automatically match them against each other. You don't have to manually match them, which was something you had to do in the past. That's a smaller change, but it is really nice.
Ian?
Yep.
Someone's asked a question and said you've mentioned wave updates, but they've also heard about hot fixes. Can you just explain the difference quickly?
Right, yeah. So a wave update is basically, it's all these good ideas on improving the system and making it better. And they come out twice a year, one at the beginning of the year and one towards the end of the year. We now call them wave 1 and wave 2. They used to be called summer and winter. Forgetting that people in the southern hemisphere are winter and summer, so that's why they've changed the name. But hotfixes keep coming out all the time. So if somebody picks up that there's an error in the way that the system is calculating VAT in the English version, sorry, the UK version, then Microsoft will apply a fix very quickly and they'll release that for everybody as soon as they have it. You don't have to wait for the wave update.
Thank you.
Good question. Preview posting. There have been some changes on the way preview posting works. I'm sure everybody uses preview posting now, but if you go to General Ledger Setup on the new update, there is an additional field down here for posting preview type. I've set mine to extended. By default, it's at standard, which is the old-fashioned way of doing it. And with this, if you find a transaction to post, let's find a sales order to post. And yep, let's take this one. And if we do a preview posting, the preview posting starts looking slightly different to the way it did before. So now I get a summary of what's going to go into the GL. Instead of it just telling me that there are 5 entries in the GL, it shows me these are the entries. And on any one of these, I can drill down to get some more detail. Because there are 2 lines on this order, there are 2 direct costs that are being posted. Sorry, that's inventory movements. There are also 2 direct costs that are being posted. So I can look at it in a summary version, and I can look at it drill down in a more detailed version. If I don't like this view, I can change it to a flatter, less interesting version. But it's got the same information. So I can choose to look at my preview posting in a slightly different way and perhaps get a better idea of what's going on much quicker. There are also some changes that have come through on the exchange rates. So if you are doing transactions in foreign currencies, most of us are dealing at least with Europe, if not with the rest of the world. You probably run the adjust exchange rate routine regularly, monthly. There are some new options that have started to appear here. So in the past, you could do either your banks or everything. Those were your 2 choices. Now you can choose, I just want to do my customers, not my suppliers, not my bank accounts, and I do want to update my additional reporting currencies. And you can pick and choose which ones you want. You're not forced to do everything. And if you travel a little bit further down, if you've chosen banks, you can choose which bank. If you've chosen to do your customers, you can choose which customers. I haven't tested these filters at the bottom yet, but this is very nice if you, for instance, for suppliers, if the exchange rate starts going really crazy against one of your supplier's currencies, you can come in and revalue against that supplier just to make sure you've got enough forward currency cover in your bank, etc., to know that you're going to have enough money in the right account to pay them at the end of the month. Another really important one is your templates for creating new customers, vendors, and items. So on this system, I'm looking at sales orders. Let's go and look at customers. It's as good a place as any. So you might be using this functionality already. When you create a new vendor, item, customer, you can set up that you have predefined templates which fill in some of the fields for you and give default values. Microsoft have enhanced this functionality, so there are more fields now that you can pre-populate and give default values. And this is one of those areas where if you are using this, it's really important when Nicola says, oh, go into your test system and make sure it's working. Test creating a new customer just to make sure it doesn't interfere with what you've already set up. It shouldn't, but it's a good idea to check. Another one which I think is really nice as well, on the sales side and on the purchasing side, I think it's on purchases and payables setup. If I'm wrong, I will have to hang my head in shame. Document default line type. So if you always sell items, you can set this here to default to item. So the first time you come into a purchase order, it will default to an item line, not to a general ledger line. And some new user, the first time they log in, it will default to whatever you put here. So it would usually be for a lot of our clients, if you're selling items, item, for clients who are selling services, GL account probably. Fixed asset, not a wise idea to set that as your default. But it just makes it a little bit quicker for your end users when they're capturing. It's going to be at the right one for them the first time they come in. Those were kind of my top picks out of that list. But as I say, it was a very long list of things. I would encourage you just to scan some of the headings and see if there's anything that said, oh, that's interesting. There is one other change which has been made, which I want to just give a caveat to any of our Bevica customers. Bevica is our wine industry solution. And there's a change that Microsoft have made to the base unit of measure. And we are strongly advising any of our Bevica clients, do not use this functionality just yet until we have tested it thoroughly ourselves. And that is the idea that you can have rounding on your units of measure. So for products, as you know, you can have different units of measure. It might be measured in pieces and in 6-packs and in cases and in kilograms. And on those units of measure, and where do I find units of measure? I'm never quite sure. Oh, I'll have to search for it, which is bad.
No, it's not typing.
It's not typing. Oh, I'm failing. Units of measure on this screen. And if I put in a pack of 6, which was 6 base units, I can set off the rounding amount here. So if I receive 5/6 of a case, which works out to 4.9 bottles, it would actually round it to 5 bottles. We think this is fantastic functionality, but as again, for all of our Bevica clients, please don't try this until we've tested it against the Bevica extension. Claudio will let you know if there are any problems with that functionality interfering with Bevica at all. But for our other clients who aren't using the Bevica, please have a look at that. It might help you avoid some strange decimal point errors with your items. That's it from me. I'm going to hand back over to Denise.
Just had a couple more questions.
Okay.
So somebody has asked about making tax digital. How does that impact, or does it impact?
So making tax digital, it stays the same. There is one, it's listed as one of the changes on that Microsoft page about granting and taking away authority or authorization. And it's not something that you're going to end up using. Once you've set up your connection with HMRC, you are going to leave it working. You're not going to turn it off and turn it back on again for any reason. But if any change in the future does happen with the way that making tax digital works, Microsoft in the next wave update, they will update the system for us. It's part of the core functionality of the system. And that's one of the things that the wave updates do. That new functionality is introduced in those. So your system will update if anything does change.
Cool. Just a couple more. Someone also said, Danusha mentioned Dataverse at the beginning in the explanation of the 4 areas that there are improvements in. Can you give a quick summary as to what that is and how that impacts and affects people?
Yep. So the Dataverse, it's the whole Microsoft 365 idea of Excel and Outlook and Business Central and Microsoft CRM and all of these applications working together. Microsoft is starting to put together in the background a database of all of your customers so that they appear in your Outlook, in your Business Central, in your CRM, and all 3 can access them and work with them instead of having 3 separate databases. So that whole Dataverse is all of your information from all your different sources all put together in one place so that you can start accessing it from whichever application you want to use, be it Power Apps, Power BI, BC, or Excel. That's basically the Dataverse.
One more, I can't see any more coming through, but there is one more here around Jet. We use Jet. Will there be any changes? Do we have to do anything?
Okay. Jet, you don't have to do anything. So Jet continues to work, your reports continue to work. Microsoft haven't changed any of the fields. They've added some new fields. They've changed the way that some of the postings might work in the background to make them go faster, but they're not changing the data that you're accessing through Jet Reports. Occasionally, Jet Reports do release an update to their client. And if you do use Jet Reports within Excel in Jet Reports, you can always click on help and it will tell you there's an update available. You're entitled to install it as a licensed user. There's no cost involved in that. And if the version of Jet that's on Business Central starts getting too old, we will update it for you on Business Central. It's not a problem. It still works.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions we've got just now. But if there's anything else that anybody would like to know, do email us at the end. I'll mention the email address or get in touch with Ian directly. So thank you so much for that demo of some selected functionality. So what we suggest you do now is have a look at the functionality for yourself. As I said at the beginning, whilst we've sort of done this in maybe 20-25 minutes, I know there's an awful lot out there, and actually we could have done this webinar over a couple of hours. So all of the changes are here in this document, and Ian also mentioned the URL earlier. So you'll be sent out a copy of this webinar as usual, and so the link will be in there for you. So in terms of the next webinars we've got coming up, just a quick summary, we've got Jet Analytics next month, Pajero, and also Tasklet Factory. So we'll send out a summary of what these webinars will cover, as usual, to our mailing list. And then in April next year, we'll have the next What's New in Business Central Wave update. And anything that you'd like to sign up to, you can go to the webinars and events URL. So in summary, I'd just like to say thank you for attending today. We hope you found some of those changes useful and that you're going to start using them very soon. You can find the webinars on demand, as I've mentioned, and also register for anything coming up at the webinars and events URL. And if you do have any questions, just drop them through either to marketing@tvisiontech.co.uk or get in touch with Ian and we can help you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Bye.